is a Republican. Senator Chase, thanks for being with us. Nice to have you here today.
Hi, Jane. Thanks so much for the invitation.
So you've been listening to Senator John Edwards. You've heard his change of heart on the issue of guns, gun ownership, gun laws. What's your response to all that?
Well, first of all, I just say what a horrific tragedy. I think gun violence is a bipartisan issue that both sides of the aisle strongly oppose. And anytime you hear about a shooting or gun violence, there is a desire for immediate response to quote unquote fix, this recurring nightmare that keeps targeting innocent people. The reaction of some is to eliminate all guns. And I obviously don't support that or restrict access, thinking that these restrictive laws are going to reduce the occurrence of mass shootings. However, the reality is that the bad guys, the criminals, they're the lawbreakers who break the law. And it doesn't matter how many laws you put on the books, they're still going to break the law. I mean, case in point is it's already against the law to murder, and yet murder still happens every single day. And the truth is that more restrictive laws only penalize law-abiding citizens. These laws only disarm law-abiding citizens who, in order to follow the law, they must leave their firearm locked up in a car or leave it at home. And now the unarmed law-abiding citizen is defenseless to a law-breaking gunman.
So that's interesting because you're known, Senator Chase, for wearing your own handgun on your hip. How does your experience as a gun owner shape your views on these policy issues?
Well, for me personally, as you mentioned, I am a concealed weapon permit holder, and I do concealed carry where I'm allowed to do it 24/7 as a way to defend myself. Unfortunately, there is evil in the world, and we don't know when it's lurking around or when it may occur. It's often in the most unexpected places. For me personally, as a woman, I feel more defenseless. People are a lot bigger than I am, not that tall. And I even remember one time I was in the Capitol, right outside Meriwether's Cafe after I just delivered, I guess, a controversial message on the floor of the Senate defending one of my positions. And I had two people to violate my personal space and try to lay hands on me. And they looked down and saw my firearm and stepped back. So to that extent, I would say that I also have personally witnessed times when having a firearm has potentially deterred, some type of act or violence or that type of thing.
And so here is Governor Ralph Northam holding this special session beginning tomorrow. I presume that you do not support some of the proposals that he's putting forward. What types of policies would you like to see to prevent some of the tragedies that we've seen unfolding over and over again and right there in your backyard?
Well, first of all, I would say that I've looked at the proposals put forward by the governor, and while I appreciate the intent, none of those would have actually prevented what occurred in Virginia Beach. And once again, I always go back to any of these laws, any of these restrictions that are put forward are only going to restrict gun owners, law-abiding citizens. And so I would oppose any measure that's going to restrict or hinder the rights of law-abiding citizens. Murder is already against the law, but it still happens. And so, I might consider something that would, make it, that increase the penalties for people that do break the law. But I'm very concerned. I don't think we're going to get any different results. I was listening to your earlier speaker. And I think that we have already actually looked at these measures that they're putting forward. And as was mentioned earlier, that the makeup of the General Assembly has basically stayed the same. And yet, we're going to spend taxpayer money at the tune of $40,000 a day to have these sessions that have already been, these discussions, which we've already had earlier this year.
Many times before. John Edwards, what's your response?
Well, I think it's